It's that time of the week again. Welcome back to the Wild Ones podcast, a show where we chat about bike stuff. I am here with Francis and producer Emily. What's everyone been up to this week, guys?
I want to say a big thank you to start off with to all the lovely comments in relation to the news about my dad, love from last week. I don't usually read the comments, but that episode, you sent it to me and we're like, just read the comments because it was just so lovely. So,
and we sent you some emails as well. We had lots of lovely emails.
Emails, DMs, too many to read every single one, but very, very kind.
I guess thanks to you guys, our audience, for being, in most part, very lovely people. So yeah, thanks for being such a good audience.
What else have we been up to? Oh, you and I, Francis, have been working on a secret project this week, haven't we?
Oh, me and Emily came to the studio to tackle the giant project, overwhelmingly big, that we've been procrastinating and ignoring it and trying to avoid doing it. Making a movie feature-length film. What does feature-length actually mean? Can I use the word feature-length?
Long. I don't think it's technically feature-length.
Okay, well, it's pretty long.
It is pretty long.
An edit of... a movie edit of 2 bikes, 1 wheelchair, 3,000 miles across the USA, which was a vlog series that I made 2 years ago. And we've edited it together into a film and we finished it. We sat here for, 8 hours, 10 hours.
I watched it yesterday.
Yeah.
And I think that going back once again to our wonderful audience, I think it is going to blow their minds at what has been achieved.
Yeah, I'm very proud of it. It took us, obviously, it was 8 hours was just finishing it. It was been sat on about 90% for a long, long, long time. And I went and got extra interviews with Justin, the guy that I rode it with. We took some more interview stuff of me, talking about the bits and filling in the gaps, because there's some bits that I didn't film and were really interesting, and there's some unseen footage from top secret locations, and it would all be revealed on Sunday at 1 p.m. on this channel.
The biggest highlight for me is that Justin is legitimately funny.
Oh yeah, it's absolutely the Justin show.
We honestly, it was a perfect example of, like, some people ask what it's like doing this job, and that was 2 months of my life where I rode bikes every day and laughed. So our stomach muscles hurt for 2 months. It was like things kept going wrong. We were riding like unsupported most of the way across the USA. Things kept going wrong, and we just laughed through every single moment. We were in the hotel rooms just like in stitches every single night, and I was in tears editing that because it was just so good. Hopefully it comes across. We'll see. So
get yourself a beer, a glass of wine, a coffee or a tea, 1 p.m. Sunday, give it a watch, and sling in the comments what you think of the film and if we should be doing more of them.
Yeah, we're going to start up a subscription service where you just have to pay the small fee of $22.99 a month.
Don't even say it because people think it's serious.
No, I'm only joking.
That was a joke.
Okay, so should we get into some news then? Did you hear that the people of Shimano have had an absolute stinker? They have a exhibition where they've got loads of their pro riders' bikes on display, and 6 of them got stolen the other day. So in the list of the 6 bikes that got stolen, we've got Van der Poel's World Champs Air Road, Peter Sagan's Specialized S-Works, Egan Bernal's Pinarello Dogma, Jakobsen's Scott Foil, Alaphilippe's Specialized S-Works, and I can never say it. Mahoric's Merida. So there's like a big old list of very significant bikes. And I think some of them are bikes that were used to win stages of the Tour de France, World Championships, Olympic Games, things like that. They're priceless bikes that someone's nabbed. Shimano is saying that they are beyond monetary value. They cannot be replaced. And someone is out there, probably doesn't even realize the full significance, and is probably going to sell them on Gumtree for about 50 quid.
Well, they got, surely they're hot property, so they got to strip them and sell the parts, and it's just not going to get anywhere near the value.
It's not, is it? The brand said that if you have any information on the burglary or anyone tries to sell you one of these models, to contact your local authorities.
Should probably say it happened in Netherlands. So they maybe won't end up over here or in the States.
Well, I think if someone knows what they've got, I think they'll be getting themselves across the border as quick as possible.
Do you think they're signed?
No, I wouldn't have thought so.
Nah, they'll be just as they are. Sometimes they keep them as they are at the end of the race, don't they?
So dirty.
Yeah, dirty. So like Paris-Roubaix winners will have their bike covered in crap from Paris-Roubaix, and they'll just keep it as it is.
So, this is a fairly significant list of magnificent bikes. If you could legally have any one pro rider's bike that has been used for something, whose bike would you have?
Oh, not even out of this list, just anyone's.
Well, yeah, I reckon anyone.
A short rider. So it will fit. Cabs?
That would be good.
Cabs Villia?
As in the new one. Actually, that was available. You could have just bought that for about £1 million.
I don't know it was black with all the colours on it and stuff to represent all those wins
was
and
quite good, to be
jerseys
fair.
and things. It was cool, but I think I prefer the normal team edition version, which you probably had as well.
I know that this person has a really bad reputation. They got busted for drugs. They are problematic in a handful of ways. However, I absolutely want, and I every now and again look on eBay to see if something comes up, and I've told shops around the world that I'm interested in it. I want a Marco Pantani edition Bianchi from back in the day. Ideally his, but I don't think I could afford one of his actual bikes. And as small as he is, it still wouldn't fit me because they were riding mega long bikes back then.
I rode his first ever carbon bike, which was a Villia, with all the pirate saddle and pirate cartoons all over it, yellow. And it was actually a very good bike. I was surprised. I was like, oh, because it's really old looking. I was like, wow, this is, the cassette's like tiny. Mm-hmm. I was thinking, first ever carbon bike, really, really old. Is this going to feel very old? And it doesn't. It feels like you could race it.
I bought a pair. So I'm a trustee for a charity called Recycle Bike in Biker. They sell secondhand stuff to help supplement the income of the charity. I went in there the other day and they had 2 pairs of legit Nike cycling shoes.
So you're wearing them.
And I bought both pairs because they were £10 each. And I'm not joking. The higher end one of the 2 is one of the most comfortable pairs of cycling shoes I've ever ridden. And they must be 20 years old. Handmade, carbon soled in Italy.
I just found your Bianchi on eBay.
No, you didn't.
Yeah, £900.
No, it won't be that. It's not the right one. What size is it?
Medium.
Too big. If it's not actual Pantani's one, I want to be able to ride it. If it's Pantani's one, I want to put it in a glass case. So the point I was going to make on the shoes is I feel like there was a point, the shoes linking into that Villia as well.
Yeah.
I feel like there was a point when products were being made that were actually really good. And I almost feel like a lot of products have got worse.
Why? What's better about those shoes than modern cycling shoes?
Well, how many pairs of shoes do you try on, modern cycling shoes do you try on, and you go, actually, they're just not very comfortable, or they're not wide enough, or the sizing is odd, or something about them, you just go, oh, this is actually not very comfortable. That's a pair of shoes. It's 20 years old. It's probably been done thousands and thousands of miles. I've slung it on, and it's comfortable straight on the go.
Maybe that is luck.
Perhaps it is. Or perhaps products were just better back in the day. On the subject of products being better back in the day,
Good link.
Colnago have just officially dropped a brand new rim brake bike. And I feel like we need to talk about it. It's a rim brake version of their premium C68 bike. It's apparently for, and this is a direct quote from their marketing blumph, people with a sophisticated cycling culture. Do you want to? I'll say that another time, give you another opportunity to absorb it. This bike is for people with a sophisticated cycling culture.
Does that feel like a bit of a dig? As in, like, if you don't want this bike, you don't have a sophisticated cycling culture. Or am I just seeing the negative there?
It does feel a bit like a dig, yeah. But I also feel like that statement actually applies to steel bikes, like traditional steel bikes, rather than a very modern carbon
High-end
bike
carbon.
that's got what some people will be upset for me to say, but old technology on it.
Ooh.
So the frame set, which includes frame, fork, seat post, headset, costs £6,299, which is about $7,750. And the
Frame set.
frame set.
What?
The disc brake version of this frame set is £1,000 cheaper. So the disc brake version is £5,269.
Wow. They're just trying to recoup the money that they've spent opening the new mold for a very small run of these bikes.
Well, I can tell you, they're not actually made from a mold.
Oh, C68's tube to tube. And then what are they doing then? Why is it so expensive?
Yeah, the C68 frame is made with a modular construction rather than a mould. This means Colnago can customise the frame for small production runs, though it doesn't say how many rim brake C68s will be produced initially. I think it's a marketing stunt.
That's a good bit of marketing.
Exactly.
We're talking about it.
I don't think it is a marketing stunt. I just think there are lots of really, really, really rich people that live in really, really, really nice climates, and they want something that feels a bit more traditional. And they're going to, I think they'll lap this up and they'll put super high end gravel. You know, like I think this is the bike which is going to show up in like Saudi Arabia and Dubai and all of those
Where
places.
they don't have hills.
And bearing in mind that the number one ambassador for Colnago is Pogacar, who rides for Team UAE. Let's not forget that. So I think it's designed for the Middle East and nice climates.
There's always going to be a hardcore, sort of bit old school contingent of cyclists, club cyclists, and in the UK as well, who don't want to leave rim brakes. But are they going to buy this? Probably
No,
not.
it's
They're
like
probably buying something else. They'll probably ride a steel bike or an old carbon bike that they've got.
it's niche within niche, isn't it?
Yeah.
But you know, if they sell 200 bikes at that amount of money, they're still going to make all right money off of it. But I'm assuming someone's asked for it as well. But I believe I did have a chat with Nick about this, and the bit he was kind of like, he was saying that it will definitely be new considered and like an independently, no, I don't know how to word it, a new designed bike. It's not just some like old bike that they've just re-released. He's pretty confident of that. And then he was questioning what group sets people are going to be available, or what group sets are going to be available for people to get for this bike. We do know that Campag are releasing something in the future or in the coming few months. No one seems to know what it is. Nick doesn't know what it is. They haven't told us because they don't communicate with us ever. So Nick was speculating whether Campag are actually going to be dropping a brand new hydraulic rim brake group set for this bike.
No, that would be stupid, wouldn't it?
I think so, yes.
It works on one modern bike.
Pretty much, yeah.
They're making it's dual pivot calipers as well.
Yeah, which is
So
super
it's
modern.
even more. Well, yeah, it's more modern than one pivot.
Yeah.
but how many frames is that going to fit on it? Can you even adapt? You can't.
No.
Like
It's a very niche thing, isn't it? And I'm almost surprised they're not selling them as completes. So they're ultimately taking the burden of group sets, unless they're thinking that there's a lot of people out there that are on old frames because there's not that many rim brake frames around anymore that have good equipment and they just want to upgrade their frame. Who knows? I do not know. Well, I can only assume this is for just really, really rich people that want either a wall bike or live in a really, really nice place.
I think they might sell a few of them, but I think this is completely fabricated so that people like us and Road CC and Cycling Weekly talk about Colnago, because there's a trope around of talking about rim brakes and are they dead or are they not, and this is a perfect story to continue to discuss that, and therefore that it gets them attention. I don't think they're going to have made many at all.
Perhaps it makes the rim brake one seem cheaper.
The disc brake one.
Sorry, yeah, the disc brake one.
Yeah,
so
perhaps.
all of a sudden you feel like you're getting a bargain. It looks like the big three group set manufacturers are technically still making rim brake group sets. It's one of those things I kind of imagine like the Canyon TT bike that costs like £5 million and technically is available on their website, but if anyone ever ordered it, we don't think they would actually receive it. I can't imagine you can actually get hold of these group sets, or if you can, there can't be many of them around anymore.
the track bike you're talking about, the Canyon one.
That track
one. Yeah.
Like surely these group sets are not.
Well, they're not in high demand, surely, are they? They're all electric as well, aren't they? You have to put an electric group set on this bike as well, which is another sort of anti-traditionalist thing, I guess.
You've got an electric rim brake group set.
Yes.
That was because at that point, which was even still 3 years ago maybe, it was hard getting a rim brake group set then, wasn't it? Or was that just the COVID effect? Maybe that was the COVID effect.
Particularly with SRAM, and that's what Nick was stocking. And then I just bought this one off him because it was the last one available. It's a Force rim brake. axis.
Yeah.
It's really good. Well, brakes don't work, but it's really good otherwise. I can fix it myself at home with no bleed kit. There's like a peace of mind there. Not that any of my hydraulics have ever needed to be serviced. So,
on the subject of tech, did you see that Classified and TRP released a 1x16 electric group set? So this news came out in July, but we were taking a break from our regular shows. It's a 1x electric group set called the Vistar Power Shift. It has 16 gears for road and 15 for gravel. And it uses Classified's Power Shift hub to expand that gear range. So Jimmy, you were saying you looked at it and it's...
So it looks like it's using TRP's rear mech with a 12-speed cassette.
Yeah.
And then it has the Classified hub thingy-majiggy, which makes it then more gears.
But another thing you said to me is it's 16 gears, but only 14 unique gears.
Yes. So because of the way that the Classified hub works, some of the gear ratios are duplicated.
But that's the same with a 2x front mech, like a 2 chainrings.
Yeah.
Like there's overlap.
Yeah, but are they the same gear?
Oh, I see. What, exactly the same?
The same gear, yeah.
I don't know. Not good enough for maths.
Possibly. But yeah, ultimately, from a riding it perspective, it doesn't actually make a difference if there's an overlap or not. It seems like an odd product.
What's the point of having 1x16 when you can just have like a 2x12?
I feel like the industry is trying to do something that consumers have not been privy to yet. There must be a reason that this kind of technology is coming through again. I don't know if it's something to do with e-bikes or if it's something to do with making gearing more internal into the bike. I'm not sure, but I feel like there's some kind of movement that's happening that is ahead of where the group sets are, which means there's probably some kind of planning in the background that is suggesting that internal gearing or something like that is going to be where group sets end up going.
I think generally for off-road people, that like hardcore off-road riders, XC mountain bikers and the gravel guys who do like Unbound and things like that don't really like having a front mech because it's gets clogged up.
Yeah.
And there's more to go wrong. And then it's just up and down. It's easy, isn't it?
If you add in one of these power shift hubs, does that then not complicate things in terms of you lose the simplicity of the one by?
Well, it's because it's all enclosed.
Yeah, it's all right.
This is assuming that the Classified hub works properly, which I think in the past there's been some issues. I mean, okay, I'm only speaking from our experience. A couple of people's have stopped working and they had to send them back. Nick's one is just sat doing nothing. He won it in a competition, used it for a bit, and it was great first off. And like you can shift it under load, which is really good for racing. You can just be pedaling super hard and just press it and it changes gear. But it's gone wrong. So it just stopped communicating.
I have heard some people talk about them feeling draggy. So you kind of, as you're riding it, you can kind of feel the chain is kind of being dragged by the rear mech a bit. Whether that actually means it is being slowed down or not, I don't know. Their claims are that it isn't. But I think a lot about riding is how it feels rather than the actual speed or the performance or the wattage. And I want stuff to feel fast, even if it's not fast. I don't know. Like we've got some... It makes sense in the triathlon world or in the time trialing space for sure, because then you can have a big fat aero chainring on the front, a huge chainring, a tiny cassette, and still have some gear range if it does go a bit hilly. So I can imagine in the triathlon world, there's going to be more and more of them used. There are pros in the pro peloton in the Tour de France. I think Ineos used them maybe on the TT stage. But not on just the normal stages. I don't know. I don't want a more complicated bike. I want a less complicated bike.
I think that's
the theory.
The theory. Yeah, it is the theory, isn't it? Because other hub gears are really, they're complicated if you looked inside and you go, oh no, what is this? But on the whole, like the Shimano one, there's Alpine hub, and it just works and never really needs servicing. You just keep riding it. and it's all enclosed and away from the dirt and the crap that's going to get in there. So one day, 20 years time, maybe a whole drivetrain will be hidden, and it'll be lovely.
Well, this is where I think they want things to end up being. So that I'm very convinced that a lot of product design at the minute is very heavily inspired, if you want to call it that, by 80s and 90s sci-fi. And if you look at bicycles or motorbikes in sci-fi in the 80s and 90s, they're just like this like torpedo that you sit on. And I think that's ultimately where they're trying to get. And if they can internalize all of the gearing, then it means that it can just be internal to a bike rather than external.
With RGB lights.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. So the tax has started. This process is a joke in the world of PCs, computers and gaming stuff. Everything is RGB. So my mouse is RGB.
Mine
Keyboard's
is as well.
got, exactly. RGB lights on everything, like your chair, RGB lights. It's creeping into cycling. So really, that's the biggest prediction of the next decade. RGB, like neon lights underneath your bike, like Fast and the Furious.
So where you say it's creeping into cycling, so a couple of the Garmin or the tax products have RGB. What other stuff has it?
Nothing yet.
It's creeping, Jimmy.
Creeping, Jimmy. That's
Slowly.
what creeping is. Put it in the comment section down below your other RGB products. I bet there's some stuff from AliExpress.
So, should we move on? Some sad news that we forgot to mention last week. If you're in the UK or if you've watched this channel for a while, you might have heard of the cycling events company Hot Chili. They're probably best known for their London to Paris event, but they did do a lot of others as well. Well, sadly, they went into liquidation and have had to cancel all future events with immediate effect. Obviously, being an events company, COVID had a huge impact on them. But the biggest challenge was apparently Brexit, wasn't it, Francis?
Yeah, so London Paris was their biggest event.
Yeah.
Which started as 6 guys, friends. Sven, who ran the company, was also friends with the guys who own Sigma Sports, Ian and Jason, and there's a couple of other mates, and they started the company. Well, they started off this ride from London to Paris. Let's see if we can do it. In the first year, it's them, 6 or 7 of them. The next year, it's 15. The next year, it's more and more. And eventually, it became 1,000 people riding to Paris. It was the biggest London to Paris organized ride by a long way.
We are all fortunate enough to have done it.
Together.
It was expensive, but oh my actual Lord, it was incredible.
It blew your mind the first day, didn't it?
It was so it was a rolling road closure
Yeah.
from London to Paris, and like all of the hotels are done, and like all of just everything is factored in and considered. It was unbelievably good. So
However, one of the very notable points, especially on the first day, your first day is from London to Dover to catch the ferry.
It's the hardest day by far.
It's so hard, and it's relentless because you have to stay at a certain pace to be able to make it to the ferry on time. So I can imagine that that is when we were in the EU. It's very easy to travel to France, whereas now it's a lot more difficult. So I think they were having problems at customs and stuff, weren't they, with bikes?
It's not even. Is it Dover or is it?
Is it Dover?
Folkestone.
In Kent. It's somewhere in Kent, isn't it?
It's
yes, you're
a really
right.
long way. It's not like just ride into Brighton. It's really far, and hilly.
Yes.
You get there, and then because of the time constraints, like right, you then leave your bike, get on a ferry, and then they deal with the bike situation, and just they go across on some other kind of transport. I don't know how they do it. Logistically horrible. My worst nightmare organising that. But they, because of Brexit, the first year they did it back after COVID, they had problems with the bikes getting over. So people arrived and they're like,
no
bikes are here. And they managed to resolve it. And I think it was a bit of a battle for the next year or 2 years. And it became logistically impossible.
It's a shame, isn't it? It was a really good event. Were you telling me that someone else is going to take over some of their existing events?
Yeah. So I've heard that Stone Circle, which is their event down near Stonehenge, which is a gravel event that they do, is being acquired by the team that run it. So
That'll still exist.
That will still exist.
That's good. Before we wrap up this section, in case you missed it, Zwift has just announced that it's extending its sponsorship of the Tour de France Femmes, which is amazing to see. Sometimes we're a little bit tough on poor old Zwift, I think. So I wanted to include this as a...
Yeah, I think we are definitely harsher on them than we probably should be.
Yeah, they do so much for women's cycling. Obviously, sponsoring the Tour de France Femmes, they were the flagship sponsor. Is that what you call it? Flagship. They were the first sponsor.
Headline. Flagship.
The founding
Title.
sponsors as well. They were of the first one, and they signed on for 4 years at the start, which gave the race the opportunity to kind of get going and establish itself as well, which is great. And also they do the Zwift Academy as well, which helps propel riders into the pro peloton.
I replied to a tweet years ago by, I think it's just one of those old school cycling guys saying Zwift is ruining cycling. And I said something along the lines of, actually Zwift is going to save cycling.
Yeah.
And this is proof.
Oh,
that
absolutely.
It is, because it's a huge injection of money. And it's where pro cycling lacks ticket sales, esports might be able to fill that gap. And that's sort of where I was getting at. But this is not what I was expecting, but it's just a fantastic thing to see, isn't it?
Totally. And it appears to be paying off for them as well. They've said it's an absolute, clear, undeniable success in terms of the...
Return on investment.
Return on investment, exactly. The numbers for the Tour de France Femmes viewership and engagement online and stuff like that is huge. So they have got in at the right time and supported it, and it is paying off for them. So it's really good to see.
Time for a round of overrated or underrated. I'm going to read out a list of things, and you are going to tell me if they're overrated or underrated. So first up, we have a suggestion by Harrison, which is fully upgrading an existing bike instead of buying new at the same cost.
This is very relevant.
It is, isn't it?
The project that me and Nick did while you guys were away.
Is that's live now, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's called...
What's it called?
Putting £10,000 of upgrades into a tri-ban.
So Harrison, go and watch that video.
Scenario. It's not the normal level of upgrades that you do, which we pointed out in the video, and we wanted to just experiment, see what would happen putting really expensive parts on an affordable frame. I think it went quite well. It was a fun video to make. The extent of the upgrades was excessive. We don't need stuff that expensive.
Yes.
But yeah, underrated.
So my opinion on this is, if the frame meets a minimum standard, which means that it's compatible with the future or the likely period of time that you are going to keep that bike, then upgrading a lower priced frame will yield fantastic results.
Where is that line? For example,
Disc brake through axles seems to be the minimum requirements for me at this point.
Really?
Yeah.
You think that far? So you think what we did shouldn't be done?
Not that it shouldn't be done, I wouldn't do it.
So the bike, for the listeners, was quick release.
Quick release axles.
And we had to use adapters to fit modern through axle wheels onto it.
Yeah.
That's not to say you shouldn't if you've got a tri-ban, you shouldn't just upgrade it a little bit. You're just saying you wouldn't put the same amount of money in.
Yeah, so say for example, I had, I don't know, because it's saying here the same cost,
Yeah.
£3,000, and I've got a bike which is a 600 quid bike, but it does have through axles and it is disc brake. Then I would be very comfortable putting much better quality wheels on it, a much better finishing kit on it, potentially upgrading the group set, but absolutely last. Rather than getting rid of that bike and spending £3,000 on a completely new bike. This is assuming that I actually like the geometry of the bike as well. I've always been a big advocate for getting good quality, cheaper frames and putting really good stuff on it. My old bikes were usually top-end alloy bikes. So I had a Cade 12 that had a rim brake Cade 12 that had Parcours wheels on it, carbon finishing kit, Dura-Ace mechanical group set on it. It weighed just over 7 kilos. It was mint to use.
It's a very good frame, though.
Yeah, of course. But this is what I'm saying, though. It's a good frame and it has the potential to benefit from these upgrades. I had a Specialized Alley Sprint, same thing, same group set, same setup. It was mint. The frame was good enough that it was worth putting that stuff into it. Would I using the tri-band that we used in this video, would I want to spend £2,000 on that bike? Probably not. But you did spend £10,000 on that bike and it rides really well.
I think you could spend £1,000 and it would be
Good.
Transformed.
Yes.
Yeah. It would really make it a significantly better bike.
Yeah.
But then it's diminishing returns past that point.
If you're starting off with what's above entry level, whatever the category is above entry level, so you have a frame that is through axle and disc brake and you're happy with it, then
I would upgrade it.
I disagree. I think the line is further. I would say as long as it fits and as long as it has a replaceable mech hanger, then I would be happy to upgrade it. Because don't forget, even if the frame is even further on the more affordable end of the spectrum and it has a heavy fork in it, you can replace it carbon fork and do things like that.
It gets complicated though.
Yeah, complicated.
But
but people like a project, don't they? I'm
Yeah,
not saying
but-
it's going to be easy. It'd be harder the older school all the parts are and all the fittings. But yeah, like the £350 Tri-Ban RC 120, I think it's called, no replaceable mech hanger. The Walmart bike, no replaceable mech hanger, and it's arguably not worth upgrading. But the line is the one we started with.
I
The
do
Tri-Ban
find
was
it
like-
amusing how aggressive you are for replaceable mech hangers.
Yeah, so you drop your bike, and then it's an alloy frame. You bend that. It's not bending back. You haven't got that many goes.
I just don't think you're going to bend it though. I think you'd have to really bash it to pieces. An alloy frame.
Well, the Walmart one is done. I had it on the work stand. I came in.
Is it
the
alloy?
next-
Or is it steel?
Oh yeah, good point. Let's steal that.
Because if it's steel, you can cut it off, put a new one on.
Well,
the
we
new
bend
one
it back.
Or bend it back.
Bend
yeah.
it back loads.
I think that, and I'm pretty certain you'll agree with me, good wheels / tires makes an insane difference to a bike. So if you have a bike and it already fits you, it feels good, you like it, but you're feeling flush, you want to spend a bit of money, you could spend money on a set of wheels and it will make such a difference to the bike over basically anything else.
And the big wheel manufacturers all seem to make around £1,000 versions of their carbon wheels now. What Envy do, the Foundation, Zip, you had
303S.
303S.
Yeah.
Scope do 2 versions of their wheels, one like £3,000 and then one £1,000 version. I can't remember the name.
If you can tolerate a hideous freewheel sound, DT Swiss will have some options around there as well.
You really hate that, don't you?
That's so bad.
It's like deep.
It's just loud. It's like obnoxious.
No, I like the loud noise.
one of the benefits as well of fully upgrading an existing bike is that you don't have to pay out in a lump. I mean, having said that, there's a lot of finance options on new bikes as well, but it's saying the same cost. It's not saying that the cost has to go out all at once. Mm-hmm. By the time you fully upgrade your bike, it might have cost you, for example, $3,000. But if you've been able to do that over 3 years mm-hmm. or however long, do you know what I mean? Yeah. And you might, if you're getting secondhand parts as well, you actually might be getting a part that's worth $1,000, but you're spending
and it's just
quid
fun and you learn stuff.
Can I throw something into the mix here though?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Typically, if you're buying a complete bike, they will be factoring in discounts on the finishing kit usually. So a £3,000 complete bike is probably is better value than the individual components bought.
Unless you find a really good price for the components.
Yes, which I think you used to be able to back in the Wiggle days 10 years ago when they used to just basically undercut every shop in the entire world. Mm. But now the demise of Wiggle is perhaps giving bike shops a bit more power again, I guess. So there's a spanner to throw in there.
Mm.
Or if you've got a rim brake bike, there's loads of good stuff on eBay now as well. So actually, oh yeah, I've been looking, my rim brake bike, I want to change the wheels because they're carbon spoke elite wheels and they're very harsh. So I wanted to change those after riding the Envies that we stole from Nick's shop for that upgrade video. I now want Envies. It's blowing my mind. I don't know. Someone who really understands crosswinds needs to explain it, why they don't move around. They're really, really good. And the rim brake version of those Envies on eBay are about £1,000. I'm tempted.
I think Nick must have got into our heads because he's been on about doing rim brake stuff with electric gears for like probably the last 4 or 5 months.
Yeah.
And for some reason, all of a sudden now I've got this idea of rebuilding my Moss bike with SRAM Force or something or other, but with keeping, being a rim brake bike. He must have subliminally got into our heads and been like, build your rim brake bike, spend money on rim brake stuff.
Brakes still don't work, but and that's with maybe it's the rims.
It's not.
Maybe a set of Envies would be better. They're just bad.
It's like electric gears. Once you get electric gears, mechanical gears are just not as good.
Ignorance is bliss.
It's the same with disc brakes. Once you've got discs, rim brakes are always going to be less.
I remember racing on rim brakes, and obviously we use carbon wheels because it's a race. And then we train with training wheels, and our winter wheels, which were alloy braking surface, those are fine. Carbon wheels, like all of the, I've raced fast forward, zips, whatever, they're all the same. There's a lag, but when everybody else in the race has the same situation, everyone has a lag, so no one's stopping that quickly.
Yeah.
So it's fine. But now I guess when it's all mixed in, and when you've had a taste of disc brakes, that is crap.
I downgraded my rim brake wheels to alloy ones with alloy rim with an alloy brake
because they feel better.
Yeah, and I quite like the classic look.
We've talked about this for a long time. Should we move on to the next one?
Yes, it's a good
we
conversation.
Slipped into OG podcast where we just argue about rim brake.
The next one is Wyke.
Wyke?
The next one is white cycling shoes, suggested by Kevin.
Underrated.
They're very well rated. Yeah,
they're the best looking. They look so good. I want white off-road shoes as well. Obviously, I'll save them for special occasions.
Wear them once and then trash them.
Well, I might be doing something later in the year where I'm making a special pair of shoes just for that trip.
I heard that you wash your cycling shoes in the dishwasher. True or false?
False.
Oh.
But I wash lots of other parts. Chain set in the dishwasher. My mum would be very angry with me if I did that in her dishwasher or when I was a teenager living with her.
So when did you do it?
So I'm just saying that for the children watching,
Well,
don't put it in your parents' dishwasher.
buy your own.
Buy your own special dishwasher in your room and use it for bike parts. It's excellent. Just make sure it's not like a weird Campag chain set with bearings in it.
For God's sake.
No, anything without a bearing, just straight in the dishwasher. It's fine.
Yeah, okay, cool. So white cycling shoes, and I love white cycling shoes. I have white off-road cycling shoes. I've had them for about 10 years and they still look just about okay. You just need to wipe them down every now and again. They'll be fine.
Wet wipes.
Yeah, well just water and a cloth.
Next.
Short crank arms, suggested by David. So this is hard. How do we approach this? So because I ride 165 cranks, I don't think that's a short crank arm. I think that's the correct crank arm for
your
me.
height.
And therefore it isn't short. But if someone thinks a 165 is short, then they are underrated. If I think short is in cranks that are too small for me, then I wouldn't want to use them. Therefore, I'm going to say overrated.
Did this come about because was Pogacar riding a 165?
Let's say this just refers to shorter crank arms rather than longer ones, and I think they are massively underrated, and nearly everyone should be on shorter cranks.
Because most bikes that are sold by big brands end up with 172.5s on everything.
I actually realised the upgrade video on the Triban.
Yeah.
There was a point where we were filming and you said to me, get into an aero position. And I shouted back at you, this is as aero as I can get. And I realized afterwards why. It's because SRAM sent us 172.5 cranks. And that was the lowest my body could be without my leg hitting my belly. Mm-hmm. So like for that crank, I couldn't get any lower because the crank is so long.
Yeah.
It's mad that, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's obvious, that makes sense of what it is, but yeah.
It's again a product range of measurements that is just not quite right yet. It's getting better. Like bikes are being spec'd with shorter cranks on the smaller sizes and longer cranks on the bigger sizes, which is correct. But they still don't go small enough, especially for women, which I'm dropping a video this week about.
So underrated or overrated? Underrated?
Yeah, I mean, underrated. I ride a short one. We're all short people, so...
Your average height, so you're not short.
Apparently, yes. Yeah.
Well, not apparently. Actually,
Yeah.
You are. Your average height.
Yeah.
This is what I get really angry in the video about. Average height for women in the UK is 5'3". and you have to ride the smallest offering in almost every single bike brand. There's maybe 4 or 5 big bike brands 3 big bike brands that make a bike small enough for people shorter than you.
Yeah. You're right, because
And that's only a little bit shorter, maybe an inch shorter than you.
I feel like at the start of the year, I said on this podcast that I was going to get a new bike this year, and I still haven't got one because I'm still trying to work out what do I get without spending loads and loads of money, which I probably will end up doing, because there's just not a lot of choice.
Yeah.
And I still haven't solved that problem yet. But
I think we should get you a custom bike. And the thing is that you get a custom bike and then you end up not liking it, and then what do you do?
Yeah, but you're in the realms of that, like you're into cycling enough and have been doing it long enough that like, oh yeah, custom bike, I'll invest some money into it. But imagine if you're a new rider.
Yeah. Oh God, yeah, exactly.
And you're a small woman and you just can't, there's nothing like Specialized all right, Canyon all right, but you get small wheels.
Yeah.
And Pinarello are really good. Any more? If you're 5'1",
Pass. Don't know.
the spoilers, there isn't.
Yeah.
And last on our list of overrated, underrated is Oasis, the band, not the drink.
I don't know whether this is just a very UK-centric thing or whether Americans know Oasis.
No, Americans know.
But anyway, if you haven't heard, they are reforming after 15 years and going back on tour, and everyone was trying to get tickets. What do you think of them?
Unbelievably overrated.
Only because, I agree, but only because they're so highly rated.
Yeah.
They're a good band.
They're a good band. They've got some great music.
Fantastic songs.
Yep.
Maybe not the most diverse. Like pretty much all of their music sounds quite similar. I don't know. We were chatting about Beatles off camera and how, that bands go through phases of just different stuff. Sometimes that's great. Sometimes that's really bad, like Arctic Monkeys. But Oasis, I don't know. It's all a bit samey.
Yeah, and I guess if you're...
But if you like that, then great.
Well, that is actually probably a complaint for a lot of bands, is that they diversify to the point where you go, I don't like them anymore.
Yeah.
So if you are into that style of music, then you're in luck with Oasis.
Yeah.
You are in luck.
But also, I think everyone just remembers their first 2 albums the most. Like they did good music after that, but I think when you think of Oasis, you really think of their first 2 albums.
The bit I find amusing, and I guess it's basically the rest of the country, this whole thing came out with Oasis and you were like, oh my God, I forgot Oasis are one of my favorite bands. I've known you for over a decade and not once have I heard you play Oasis.
That's true, yeah. And then I started playing and I was like, I really like their songs.
Well, the writing's top notch, isn't it? They
great.
definitely nailed that. Whatever you listen to pretty much any song from them, you're like, oh yeah, this is it. I feel like I've heard it before.
Because you have the song before.
I don't mean like that. There's just a familiarity and something. White Stripes do it. You ever listen to White Stripes? Pretty much any song, you're like, oh, I've heard this before.
Jimmy just refuses to like popular things. He just likes to really have to like listen hard to
be really
things.
niche.
Yeah. Whereas I'm just a woman of simple pleasures. Just if it sounds good, I don't think more into it. It's good.
No, I'm with you on that. They are a very, very good band. Yeah. It's just,
This is the rules of the game. You've got to choose one. They are so highly rated.
Agreed.
That we have to say overrated.
Yeah, agreed. And if you got tickets, well done. And if you didn't, be all right, wouldn't it?
Yeah.
Just listen to the
music. If you got tickets,
instead.
I am jealous.
This is one of the problems I have with this stuff. What I think the venues are too big, so the sound quality is always junk.
Agreed.
And if I was someone like that, granted they're just doing it for money, but if you're doing it for the love, you pick a smaller venue and you do it for 30 nights. You make sure there's enough availability for everyone to be able to go. And you do it in a venue that can actually tolerate the music.
Do you mean so giant stadium stuff doesn't sound as good?
They always sound rubbish.
Right.
Unless you happen to be in a stadium that manages to control all of the wind and air. So say, for example, the Millennium Stadium would probably be all right because they'll presumably close the roof. So it'll still have an echo, but they'll be able to manage that. Whereas a lot of the stadiums, you just get this like swirling sound where you kind of, the audio just picks up and down and it's just not very good.
Like our studio.
I'm in it for the audio. I'm not in it for getting wrecked and like not even remembering what happened and having a sore throat. That's not my bag. For the people that is your bag, you can have a great time. If you have any suggestions for overrated or underrated, please send them to wildonesepodcast@cademedia.co.uk and we might read them out in the future. I said that too fast, but we're going to stick with it.
wildonespodcast@cademedia.co.uk.
Thank you for clearing that up for me. Let's do listeners takeover next, and it's a good one this week.
Yes, so this is also the first fluff up of the week because I have lost the email relating to this segment. However, we have prepped it already, so we're going to go ahead with it. In summary, the email was from one of our American listeners who said they loved a section from one of our old podcasts where we gave our opinions on stuff like pumpkin pie, applesauce, candied yams, PB&J sandwiches and various other American delicacies. And they said they'd love to see us rate more American foods. So we got a bunch of American sweeties, aka candy, to be culturally correct. And we're going to try them. And to make this cycling themed, we're going to rate them on flavour, but also how good they are as cycling snacks. And the second flip up of the week.
It was my job in America. So this is not my fluff up. This is my dad's fluff up.
Okay.
It's his fault. I was in America. My job was to come back with American treats. And then, unfortunately, I got a call where I had to come back for family reasons. So I didn't do it. I left my wife the job of doing it. And then she had to fly back very quickly as well. So instead of going to Walmart, where she could have got all of these these sweets for £30, these candies, $30, $40 worth probably, she ended up spending $120 at one of those weird money laundering shops that sells American candy.
In London, not in America.
Yeah, so that's our situation. We got a big pile of candies.
Yeah.
There is a dog right behind
I'm
your chair.
hungry.
Okay.
There's a dog behind your chair.
There's a dog right behind my chair next to a massive bag of chocolate. So I've had to be on guard to make sure she doesn't poison herself this whole time. But we're all right so far. Okay, so we better make this really good so that we recover that $120.
Yeah, please watch this video all the way through and play all the ads and stream it on 20 different devices.
And if you're listening, we'll try and give you audio descriptions, or you might decide that it's worth just going to YouTube and watching this instead. But okay, first one, Twizzlers.
I've heard of these. I've seen them in the shops.
I've seen them in the movies.
Danny's reaction to these ones was like, "Oh, these are a classic, but they're not great."
We're sat
Guilty
quite far
pleasure.
away, so I'm just going to
do some
hoy it
throwing.
ahead.
Yeah, throw them.
Do some throwing, but we're not allowed to leave anything on the floor because of the dog.
Yeah.
Why are you finding it so hard?
Oh, it smells gorgeous.
That smells good.
It smells
Cherry.
like,
Cherry.
it's almost bubble gummy.
But I think they call this licorice, but it's... I might be wrong with that. I think they call this licorice, but it's not like black licorice. It's not real licorice.
Less flavour than the smell would.
The smell's incredible.
Lead me to
the
believe.
flavour's not very much, and if you chew it enough, it tastes like bread.
I agree with that summary. I had big hopes for the flavour based on the smell, and it doesn't taste of that much. As a cycling snack, I think it would be quite
Really good and probably not too sweet. So you're like, I just keep eating these.
60 grams of sodium. How is there that much salt? It's like a 5 out of 10. It's fine.
It's good for a ride because you can slot them in your pocket and just go and back in your pocket. It's a good riding snack.
This is a Twinkie, a box of Twinkies, which again I've seen in the movies. Apparently they survived the apocalypse.
The film that I always think of with Twinkies is the first Die Hard.
Oh, I thought you were going to say Zombieland.
I already know this is for me.
Individually wrapped, so could be put in a jersey pocket without getting destroyed.
Smells like heaven. Oh my God, I'm so excited.
Oh, this smells nice.
I guess if you don't know what a Twinkie is, it's basically like a little cake with cream inside.
Oh, that's cream coming out the back.
10 out of 10.
Oh, that's a nice cake.
That is me. I
That's
want
lovely.
a coffee. Oh, I need a coffee. That with a coffee. Oh,
You dip it in.
that's what Al does.
I'm impressed. My first,
Yeah, nice.
I didn't eat them, but my first experience of seeing a Twinkie in real life was cycling across the USA. And we...
God, you can't let that go, can you?
No, I just slip it into conversation whenever I can. We got to day 5, Daytona Beach. So we hadn't actually started riding across. We were from Miami in the south, all the way up the coast. First 5 days. We were in Daytona Beach and we stayed at a hotel. And they'd advertised continental breakfast. And we were looking forward to it. The continental breakfast was just...
Wait. I need to stop you here. This is in the film.
Yeah.
This is a fantastic story, and I'm going to stop you from telling it. Everyone needs to go and watch the film, which comes out on Sunday, to hear the rest of this story, which is one of the most enjoyable stories I've ever heard in my life. 1 p.m. on Sunday, go and watch the film.
Did we rate this in terms of a cycling snack?
10 out of 10.
Oh, 10 at 10. 10.
I would give it a little bit less because it's very sticky on the hands.
Oh, yeah.
And I don't want sticky everywhere.
No, but you just squeeze it from the bottom.
Squeeze it like a tube.
Like a fruit.
Okay.
I don't think Will Girling, EF Pro Cycling nutritionist, would approve. It's probably too high fat content or something, but it's very tasty.
Next one is Hershey's. I have tried this before. So this is just a bar of chocolate.
It tastes better than it smells.
It does. I've heard about this. It tastes nice, and then the aftertaste is like vomit. And that's true.
Well, I didn't see what it tastes of is a hot chocolate.
Yeah, it does. Or like cooking chocolate.
Yeah.
Which is just not very milky. And I was reading some of not on this one, but on a Reese's one. I think what Americans are allowed to or America is allowed to label as chocolate, the EU and I guess the UK doesn't classify as chocolate. We have to have so much cocoa and so much milk in ours, and I think these are made slightly differently. I would say it doesn't taste very milky compared
It's
to ours.
chocolate flavour.
It's chocolate flavoured.
It's not chocolate, it's chocolate flavoured stuff.
I think America does a lot of sweeties very well, but I think we do chocolate better.
It's the European influence, isn't
It's not a great product for cycling. It would just melt, and I don't think it tastes very good. So that's bottom of the list.
For cycling, 0 out of 10.
0.
For having with a hot chocolate, 10 out of 10.
So you can dip your solid hot chocolate into the liquid hot chocolate.
I would just drop it in and
Double
just
energy.
watch it and like swirl it around with a Twinkie. I could be American.
Okay, next. Airheads Extremes Candy.
I like the colours, so it is like a rainbow colour.
Rainbow flavour.
So it's covered in fizzy, like the sour.
Oh, it's like sherbet.
Melt in the mouth. I could eat constant mouthfuls of these on a ride.
It's sour, but it's like I don't particularly like sour stuff. I imagine to you guys who love it, that's almost not even sour.
There's not that sour.
Yeah, I could go much more sour.
That's the nice amount of sour to me.
Okay, what's the rating? I really like those. 9 out of 10.
Yeah, they're really good.
Yeah.
Good,
Yeah.
like little bite size as well.
So you just have the packet open in your jersey pocket and just reach in, or you empty them into your jersey pocket.
Okay, next up, Reese's Pieces, which I've also heard from movies, and I didn't realise they're basically like M&M's crossed with Reese's chocolate, I guess.
I heard these on a Vine where he calls them Resussus Pussus.
So it's basically a Smartie, but with peanut butter
butter.
inside. That sounds like it's going to be fantastic.
They're nice. I'm not a big fan of peanut butter, so that points off for me. But
That could be good
a
for
lot
a
of
ride.
people like it.
They're very edible. Like they're the sort of thing that if they were in a little bowl, it'd be too easy just to go.
Or a big bowl. That bowl will then be empty very quickly. Yeah.
Yeah.
They're good. I feel like we need a palate cleanser now.
Yeah.
Or just use the first one, the bread, the Twizzler bread.
Nerd gummy clusters. I've seen these on TikTok.
Ooh,
I
that
feel like
sounds
children like these.
This is Danny's favourite.
Is it?
I like the sound of this. Licorice.
Your face. The smell is like
Bubblegum.
chemical bubblegum. Yeah.
Oh, that is a bit of me.
No, it's not a bit me.
Oh, it's gooey. I thought it was going to be firm. Oh, that's horrible.
Wait till the aftertaste.
Oh, no.
No, they're the worst.
There's too much going on.
If this wasn't such lovely colours, it would look like you've dropped your chewing gum on some gravel.
And that's exactly the texture as well.
It's like you find a sweet down the back of the sofa.
Compatible with cycling? Yeah.
Yes, if you like it.
It's not going to make your hands sticky.
Yeah, it's already got stuff stuck to it, so it's not going to get anything else stuck to it. Yeah. So next one is Reese's peanut butter cups, which we have in the UK. So Francis has got us an American version and a UK version.
I like the size difference.
Well, there's a whole extra cup. And this isn't a dig. Like, American portion sizes are the correct size. and like when I go out for a meal, I want to firstly not be able to finish and be able to take it home in a cardboard box afterwards and then eat it later. That should be the done thing. I'm hungry.
So what I was talking about with the chocolate before, the American version, the first ingredient is milk chocolate, whereas on this one, it's called milk chocolate flavor coating.
But that's the Which is the American one?
This is the British one, and it's called milk chocolate flavour coating because they can't say it's chocolate.
Oh, got you. Yeah.
Whereas this one, they call it chocolate.
Got you.
So I've got one of each, and actually, inside, the American one is slightly smaller.
It is.
For my one.
Yeah, same.
I love Reese's cups.
The British one has more chocolate.
It does, yeah.
Less sweet. More peanutty, even though it's got more chocolate.
Yeah, the British one's nicer.
They're very similar, but the British version has more chocolate, is not quite as sweet, which serves our palates more, doesn't it?
Yeah.
As a riding snack, that's rubbish because it'll just melt.
Yeah.
Next is Swedish Fish, which is another gummy.
I hope this is fish flavoured. Like caviar flavoured. So bad.
It doesn't say what flavour it is, and I can't tell you what flavour it is. It's red flavour.
Oh, very, very like
Chewy.
I don't like stuff like this because it sticks to your teeth.
Yeah.
It's almost the opposite of the Twizzler, though, in that it doesn't smell of much, but it does have a slight taste.
I don't think it tastes of much at all other than sweet.
Yeah, it's just sugary. But it doesn't. The red tricks you into thinking it's strawberry, but it's not.
It's not strawberry, is it?
They're fine, but they're probably good in your pocket.
Well, if it wasn't so teeth sticky, for me, it'd be a really good bike sweet.
I think they're small enough you don't need to chew them.
You could definitely swallow that whole.
Yeah, you swallow it whole.
Butterfinger, which is again peanut buttery. By the way, I feel like peanut butter wasn't a thing when I was a kid, but it has become a thing, and the UK's really embraced it. So thank you, America, for introducing us to peanut butter because I bloody love it. But it definitely wasn't a thing here, was it?
Nah, it wasn't really, no.
Kind of salty.
It's like brittle, isn't it?
It's like
they call that brittle.
A lot of the first ingredients on these are corn syrup. I'm not sure what that is.
I really like the texture and how it looks, and then it doesn't match. The flavour doesn't match it. There's no flavour.
Too sticky in the teeth.
A terrible bike snack because it would melt, and the inside bit's quite chewy. It's okay on flavour.
What if it, on a really cold day? Might be quite nice.
Right, so we have, again, American Skittles and British Skittles. There is a bit of a size difference. We do get ones this size. We don't get that many in them, I think.
That's not the equivalent.
It's not the equivalent, no. These were just from the garage this morning.
I like how you said garage for our American viewers rather than petrol station.
Oh, petrol station. No, gas station.
Gas station.
Oh, God's sake.
The ingredients list on these are different, and I have tried, again, these in America, and I thought I could taste a difference, but I will see again now comparing them.
British Skittle is more red and bigger. The American one's way nicer.
I think the British one's nicer. I think the British one you can taste more flavour, whereas the American one is just sweeter.
Yeah, maybe that's why I like it.
Okay.
So Skittles are really, really good for riding, I think. They don't get stuck in your teeth. You can fill a pocket with them and just grab as you go.
But not in winter.
Because they go too hard.
They go too hard.
Yeah, you just chew them.
Next is
Jolly Rancher. What is a Jolly Rancher? I feel like that's crisps. Is it crisps?
no,
Is it a wagon wheel?
no. It's hard candy.
Oh.
We're going for red flavour.
They go red flavour. Cherry.
What's it say? Artificial.
Artificially flavoured. Or it's sticky, but it's inside a wrapper, so you could put it in your jersey pocket.
No, this one's a cherry one, and it tastes like an air freshener. The smell of an air freshener to me.
Yeah, right, yeah.
I have
I'd eat an air freshener, though.
I have no problem with that American piece of candy. I have a problem with all of that type of candy.
Yeah, sticky,
Sweet, whatever you want to call
sweety
it.
stuff.
Not for me.
No, this one is Sour Patch Kids, and I feel like this is now in the UK, is it?
It is, but it's a different thing.
Oh, is it?
They don't taste the same.
Ooh, blue flavour. There's lots of blue flavours here. We don't have a lot of blue flavours in
Because
the UK.
they're bandy numbers in this country.
10 out of 10.
It's very loosely human-shaped sweet. It's got a sugary coating. It's very sweet. Is it a little bit sour?
Such a weird thing to say.
Loosely
But I guess for the
human-shaped.
listeners at home, it's useful.
It is, though, isn't it? Because it's not human-shaped, but it's kind of meant to be.
You can buy bags of just the blue ones.
Can you? The blue one was the best one out of the ones I tasted.
The blue ones make me feel like I'm taking medicine. I feel it's like I'm expecting something to change when I eat it.
Yeah, you gain the energy of 1,000 suns.
Yeah, which is what you want on a bike ride.
Yeah.
Perfect bike ride. 10 out of 10. Lifesavers hard candy. Again, these look like. Did you ever polos? They did.
Oh, a fruity version.
They did a fruity polo.
Individually wrapped. That's a bit aggressive, isn't it?
That is a waste of packaging.
Actually, funny, they say individually wrapped is a selling point on these.
It's big enough that it's probably that you put them in a bowl.
You got them in a bowl at your front door. The people come in and go, "Ooh, that looks sweet."
Oh, piece of candy.
My one's pineapple. But it actually tastes of pineapple, unlike the others. That actually has good flavour.
This is strawberry.
Good flavour.
It's not. It's cherry. What I'm learning is
Good flavour of the wrong item. How much horses have a salt lick?
yes.
What they should make a human version of that. So as you leave your house, you just get a little lick of electrolytes. But it could be everything, couldn't it? Not just sodium.
Like
So,
a vitamin tablet.
Beef.
Sports specific one. Beef. No, I was thinking potassium.
Just some chicken.
The
on
other
it.
electrolytes. You could put anything you wanted into it. Your multivitamin is all in a lick on the next to your door.
I feel like
As long as no one else licked it, because that'd
that
be gross.
blue sweet is kicking in now.
Okay, this is the last one, and it's a bonus one. It's called Cubi Mangos. And what did you tell me?
This is okay. This is not USA. This is
Yeah, we did
Central
say American.
American
We're
sweets.
including all the Americas.
So I was in Guatemala, and Danny sent me to the shop. He goes, go get a selection of sweets. Oh, but make sure you don't just get the savory, spicy ones, because they have tahine infused. Which tahine is like
Like tahini? No.
no, it's like salt, lime, spices, powder stuff.
Oh,
that
it's the stuff you have on the
you put
drinks.
it on the rim of a margarita.
Yeah,
sometimes like
yeah.
a spicy margarita, or you put it on fruit. So when you go to a fruiteria, where they chop the fruit up for you and stuff on the street, sometimes in LA or in Central America, they put that stuff on. They have loads of sweets like this, which are infused with that flavor.
There's like a savory element. I think that looks like a savory product.
like
scratching.
biltong
Biltong or
jerky.
jerky, yeah.
Oh, okay. It's very cube shaped.
Are you sure that's not meat?
This is the shape Jimmy thinks the Earth is.
It's spicy.
Yeah.
It's really spicy.
Oh, it's like dried fruit. It's nice. I'd eat that on a ride.
I like the flavour, but I'm not very good with spice. So I'd have the non-spicy version.
I don't know if I'd really like that in England, but if I was cycling in or doing anything in Guatemala, I wouldn't want the spicy because it's so hot already.
Interesting though, because it is very savoury and it doesn't taste very sugary in a good way.
It's not for me.
Well, did we record a whole section there? Did that make sense? We'll find out when we edit it. I feel like my head has gone a little bit now from getting on a sugar high.
My thoughts right now are you shouldn't edit any of that section or even review it. You should just put it straight in and just let it be.
Well, thank you to whoever the person was that initially asked for this. I can't remember your name, but we do appreciate it. If you would like to suggest other things like this, then please send in your email stories and fun stuff to wildonespodcast@kmedia.co.uk. And that's it for this week.
Oh yeah, I need to pick up my pad, don't I kind of feel like everything's closing in on me now.
I do feel a bit weird.
Thanks all for listening. We hope you enjoyed it. Make sure you follow and or subscribe so you don't miss out on the next episode. I think that's what it says here. Thank you all and hopefully see you on the next one.
Hopefully.
Bye.
Bye.